Good afternoon. Welcome back to Venture Daily. On today's show, the new pope is making AI his holy war, warning Silicon Valley that unchecked algorithms threaten human dignity, and he's calling for global rules to rein them in.
And a pro-Israel hacking group just vaporized $90 million from Iran's top crypto exchange, accusing it of funding terror, then torched the evidence on the blockchain. I'm Josiah Simons.
I'm Jackson Fordyce. It's Thursday, June 19th. Let's get you smarter today. So in case you were wondering whether your Tesla can safely drive your kid to school, the answer is a hard nope. At least not yet.
Yeah, a new test in Austin showed a Tesla Model Y blowing past a stopped school bus with flashing lights and then plowing into child-sized mannequins 8 times.
To be fair, these weren't Tesla's own tests. The demonstration was set up by a group of Tesla critics, the Dawn Project, Tesla Takedown, and Resist Austin. Still, the results weren't exactly confidence-inspiring.
Nope, the car ignored all the signals, stop signs, flashing lights, and treated those dummies like they weren't even there, which is kind of the problem.
Tesla's official line is that full self-driving, which they now call supervised, still requires a fully attentive driver. You know, like something not watching Netflix while the car barrels toward a school zone.
And Tesla does plaster disclaimers everywhere saying that misuse could cause damage, serious injury, or death. So they're not exactly hiding the risk.
Watchdog groups are saying the tech just isn't ready for prime time, especially around things like school buses.
Which is kind of awkward timing because Tesla's gearing up to launch the Cybercab on June 22nd, a fully autonomous robo-taxi. Elon says they're being super paranoid about safety, but also hinted that the first Tesla to drive itself straight off the assembly line to a customer's house is coming June 28th, which is 9 days from now. All right, Jackson, I want to show you the clip that came from the Dawn Project. It's pretty funny, and what's crazy, so we're here in Austin.
Yeah, don't dox me.
This was done in Austin.
Yes.
This
in my
is done
neighborhood. Very near my house.
Very near your house.
If you can see where it is.
Yeah, okay, let's watch it. It's a 1-minute clip. Check this out.
Wait, what do you want it to do?
Yeah, so they pulled the mannequin like way late, but
there's nothing you can, whether it's...
Well, keep watching.
The stop signs are out. They've even put flashing lights on the stop signs to make it really obvious for us.
It's not slowing down at all.
And it's not slowing down at all. It's visualizing it as a truck, and here we have a kid darting out, and
that's a woman
again. And the car, look, it's still engaged. I haven't touched anything.
Yeah, okay, so anyone who's not watching this and listening right now, it just hit the kid and then stayed driving and rolled over the kid and drove off.
You know
Red
what?
lights flashing. It is obviously illegal to go past it because you have children who dart out from behind parked cars. Oh my God!
They're acting like it was a real child.
Yeah, and the self-driving software has not disengaged. It has not beeped. It has not done anything. The car is just carrying on doing a hit and run.
So it's literally doing a hit and run.
Sure, the hit and run is not good, but
it's like the car should at least know that it had hit something,
right? Exactly.
When it's fully autonomous, and it shouldn't roll over that thing.
100%. But the beginning of the video, they pull that kid out way too late. If I'm driving,
no, every time they pull it out
I'm
really
pancaking that kid. It's not Tesla's fault for not stopping when it needed to stop, but it shouldn't have kept going.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But basically, with this this news, you got the Tesla robo-taxi coming out in like 9 days.
I think it's coming out in Austin.
Yeah, that's the plan, is that it's supposed to be rolling off the lot in 9 days. I don't think it's quite ready yet for school zones, which is probably the most important place.
Congrats, you won the Dawn Project, Tesla Takedown, and Resist Austin. You won this round, but you wait for Elon to come back. He'll come back stronger than ever.
That's right. All right, Jackson, I want to tell you about Public. If you take investing seriously, you need to know about public.com. That's where you can invest in everything. Stocks, options, bonds, crypto. You can even earn some of the highest yields in the industry, like the 7% or higher yield you can lock in with a bond account. Public is a FINRA-registered, SIPC insured platform that takes your investments as seriously as you do. Fund your account in 5 minutes or less at public.com/venture and get up to $10,000 when you transfer your old portfolio. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosure in the podcast description. Check out our link, public.com/venture in the description. If you like this show, I like what these guys do. I like what they're bringing tech news to the people every single day.
Show us some love.
Show us some love because
we got 10 bands.
It really helps the show.
$10,000.
So check it out. Here's the things you can do. Okay, like this video,
right,
or on Spotify, share it.
Capacity.
Comment on it. and then go down in the description and download Public.
Yes.
Okay.
And make an account.
Using our link, public.com/venture. That would be really helpful to the show. All right, let's get into it. The Pope takes on AI. And Jackson, I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Do you know why Pope Leo chose his papal name?
Are you going to tell? Yeah, you're going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you right now. In a recent meeting with cardinals, the Pope revealed that he had chosen his papal name because of the AI tech revolution.
Exactly. That's right. Pope Leo XIV, the newly elected American pontiff, is making AI a central focus of his papacy, inspired by Pope Leo XIII, who defended workers during the Industrial Revolution. In the late 1800s, Leo XIV is positioning the Catholic Church, to confront the ethical and social upheavals of today's AI revolution.
Yeah, basically. So you've got back in the late 1800s, the Industrial Revolution happens, and you've got all over the world, but especially in I think it was Baltimore. There was a cardinal who was living in Baltimore who sent a letter to Pope Leo XIII, and we get a picture of Pope Leo XIII. Here he is.
Wow.
In 1878. Okay, that's a picture of him.
Looks good.
He looks great.
Looks regal.
Yes.
Leader in the church.
So there was a leader in the church in Baltimore. He was either bishop or a cardinal or something. He sends a letter to Pope Leo XIII. This is in the 1880s, and he says, "You've got to understand like what's happening with the Industrial Revolution. There's a lot of kids who are being taken advantage of. They're working these super long hours. It's really dangerous conditions." And so the Pope at that point basically said like, "Oh, I really care about this," and he made it his whole mission as his like reign was to say, I'm going to care about the social upheaval, ethical problems of the Industrial Revolution.
And so now Pope Leo XIV is doing the same thing with AI, how it relates to human dignity, labor, justice, etc. The issues that the church sees as moral imperatives.
Right. So for years, tech giants like Google, Microsoft, Palantir have courted the Vatican, hoping to shape its view on AI and avoid binding regulation. While they favor voluntary ethical frameworks, voluntary, the
100%.
Vatican has been calling for stricter, enforceable global AI rules.
If you look at that picture, you can see Mark Zuckerberg sticking his hand out saying, please.
Well,
please.
We'll get to that. There is a picture of Mark Zuckerberg.
But before his death, Pope Francis, the last pope, had already begun raising alarms around AI, and Leo, the current pope, who is more tech savvy and holds a math degree, is continuing that work with greater urgency.
That's right. So this week, the Vatican is hosting a major conference in its Grand Apostolic Palace with execs from Google, IBM, Meta, Anthropic, Cohere, Palantir to discuss ethics and governance.
Yep, and tech companies will be watching really, really closely to see whether Leo will be a collaborative advisor or a sharp critic of the technology, and his stance could shape global discourse given the church's influence over public policy and moral debate.
That's right. So here's a quote from a guy who's really close, Cardinal Giuseppe Versaldi, who's known for Leo for many years. He said this quote, "These tools shouldn't be demonized, but they need to be regulated." And he goes on, "The question is, who will regulate them? It's not credible for them to be regulated by their makers, OpenAI, Google. It's there needs to be a superior authority." It's a classic, line from the papacy.
Of course,
there needs to be a superior authority, the magisterium, who gives you all the rules.
The AI regulation talks are going deeper and deeper, and just because of that, we talked to our friend Bob Van Lout about it.
Hey, Jackson. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So my name is Bob Van Lout. The last part is Dutch. You can forget that, so I'll just go by Bob. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Weaviate, an open source AI native database. And it's great to be here. So I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
I nailed that last name, but I asked Bob, the new pope just made AI a moral priority of his pontificate. Could the Vatican become the most unlikely but most powerful regulator of AI on the global stage?
So that's a great question. I don't know, but the thing that I found, there were two things that I found extremely interesting. First, that apparently the new Pope studied math, and so apparently is aware of things that are happening there. And the second thing, on a more serious note, is that there's just something so fascinating about how people are anthropomorphizing with the technology, right? So I remember back in the days when we were just talking about like basic machine learning and those kind of things. So to answer your question, it will have an interesting influence on world leaders and how they interact with the Pope. I can tell you one thing, I would have never imagined that I would be answering a question on a podcast about the Pope's opinion of AI.
So it's actually surprising for some people. If you look into it, tech leaders have been cozying up to the Pope for a while now. This is nothing new. So famous example is when Mark Zuckerberg got a private audience with Pope Francis in 2016. Here's a picture of him. They're just laughing up a storm with Pope Francis here, really cozying up. And then That same year, Tim Cook of Apple, Google's Eric Schmidt made visits to the Vatican and also were granted private audiences. So apparently in 2019, though, this was kind of the biggest one. Okay. Microsoft's president Brad Smith immediately hit it off with Pope Francis. Their meeting was described as almost love at first sight.
Wow, how beautiful.
By Archbishop Paglia, who was present and kind of set up the meeting. That led to Paglia and Smith then laying the groundwork to launch what they were calling Rome's Call for AI Ethics, a 12-page pledge urging AI developers to protect privacy, uphold human rights, and avoid discrimination. So companies like IBM and Cisco, I think back in 2020, signed on, but major players like Google, OpenAI have yet to join that call for AI ethics.
Yep. Speaking of tech CEOs, I asked Bob Van Lout. So tech CEOs have courted the Vatican for years, but now Pope Leo XIV is pushing back. And I asked him, will Silicon Valley welcome that kind of scrutiny, or is this where the partnership fractures?
To be honest, I think I don't know specifically about the Valley and the Vatican, because that is, again, I would have never imagined that these words would come, this sentence would have come out of my mouth, right? So, but I do think what is very interesting is, like, to be honest, I think it's going to help, because it's a if basically even the Pope is saying that it's top of mind, then it will, turn a lot of eyeballs to the capabilities of AI. Needless to say, I'm very much optimistic about, because otherwise I wouldn't be working in this space. So, the more people talking about it, especially the Pope, I think that's just going to help our industry and make people excited about it. So I can only see this as a positive thing.
Josiah, we've been having these conversations for a long, long time about AI regulation. Right. Will there be, a global leadership of countries that say they set the tone for what the guardrails will be? We still haven't seen anything yet. And so,
well, we've seen a lot. I think we've seen a lot in Europe. We've seen some in China. We've seen some in Asia, but we have not seen
on a global scale.
Nothing on a global scale in terms of actual agreement, and we've seen very little from America. You got Biden, who did his executive order like a year ago, but then I think Trump basically revoked that and said, we're not doing all that.
Well, because I think in the Biden administration, they wanted to add more regulation on top of some of the AI restrictions. And with Trump's whole presidency, he was like, I don't want to have any sort of regulation on AI in its current form.
Right. So it seems like geopolitics, state politics here in America.
There's only one person who can actually regulate AI.
Really working to regulate it, maybe to appeal to God.
God will regulate AI. He's the one that's going to be able to say what is great and what is not great.
Yeah.
So I asked Bob, the Vatican is calling for a binding international treaty on AI. Can a spiritual institution succeed where global politics have failed?
So maybe, right? So, I mean, they have done that in the past. What is so fascinating to me is that this is just, again, that this is top of mind for them, right? So the answer to the question is, like, I guess maybe, but it's like I'm not sure if it's smart that we have like an institution like the Vatican like interfere too much with business practices, how we collaborate, global agreements, like how we operate, how companies, not companies, but countries collaborate. So I'm not sure. So maybe I see a risk there, because maybe it's a lot of noise, confusing a lot of people, making it harder to really go into the nitty-gritty details when it comes to innovation. For innovation, we need actually less regulation, especially from the Vatican, not more.
So just like you mentioned, this week, the Vatican is hosting AI companies about AI governance and ethics. And so I'm curious if you have an opinion on this. If you were one of these companies, how would you appeal to Pope Leo XIV, to the Vatican, of why this technology is good and maybe why it should be embraced rather than heavily regulated?
Honestly, if I'm one of these tech execs, I'm coming in guns a-blazing and I'm talking about subsidiarity. Okay, I'm going straight to the Catholic belief that like each part of our life. So you and I, the closest thing that we should have is not the federal government, not even the state government, not even the city government. The closest thing that should have a direct effect on our lives is the family. Okay. And then then a little less effect on our lives should be the city government, and then the state, and then the nation, and then eventually the global, regulation. That's the concept of subsidiarity, which is a Catholic concept. So I would go to him and I would say, hey, we are global tech companies, yes. But we are not like the work that we're doing here, don't regulate it on such a scale that it's going to cause chaos for everyone. Let's let the family unit, let's let the people in their home decide. Let the people decide what they want to do with their AI, and don't have these big global regulations. I feel like, I don't think I'm making a very good case, but I think that somebody who's smarter than me could make a good case that subsidiarity as like a concept works well for let's not do global regulation.
Right.
here.
Well, for my last question to Bob, I asked him, as CEOs from Meta, Anthropic, and Palantir gather in the Vatican, are they there to shape the church's view of AI?
Well, I mean, it's like sure, right? So, of course. So, and I can only imagine that they have an optimistic story to tell. And I think the difficulty here sits in the fact of like AI today. So what companies like us, like what we're doing with Weaviate, the bigger organizations like Meta, etc., like what we do today and how we create value today versus a more abstract, philosophical conversation of like what the role of AI can be in the world. And I think we need to make sure that those things don't overlap too much. So maybe what the Pope is thinking about is more in the grand scheme of things on a philosophical level, whereas that I think that the business leaders are more just thinking about today and the value that it's adding today.
Thank you to Bob Van Lout for being on the show today.
All right, Jackson, what do we got next?
Next story, hackers stole and destroyed at least $90 million in cryptocurrency from Novitex, Iran's largest crypto exchange, after breaching its hot wallet.
Novitex confirmed the attack and has since taken its website and app offline. While investigating the incident, blockchain analysts found the stolen funds were burned. So basically, they're sent to wallets that no one can access, which effectively wipes them from existence.
The hacking group, which is a pro-Israel hacking group called Predatory Sparrow, claimed responsibility for the hack, accusing Novitex of aiding terrorism and bypassing sanctions. The group also claimed a cyber attack on Tuesday on Iran's Bank Safa, which caused nationwide ATM outages. These coordinated strikes come amid escalating military conflict between Israel and Iran.
Yeah, so Iran is basically calling them out. They're saying Israel is backing this cyber group, the cyber attack group, and that it's a state-run. And there's actually some evidence that is probably the case.
Like part of Mossad?
No, part of Israel backed. Is that
it's Israel's like intelligence agency.
Okay, yeah, potentially. The reason why is actually for kind of positive reasons. So they're basically saying they've done this before. Predatory Sparrow have done this before, and they did this once in an Iranian. Man, I'm forgetting exactly what it was, but it was a factory. Okay, and inside the factory, Predatory Sparrow claimed that they had done this. They set off something that was spewing like lava, basically, and the whole factory caught on fire. And then Predatory Sparrow said, "We're the ones who did this."
Okay.
But the reason why they think that this isn't just some random hacker group is because they waited for everyone to leave the floor. They waited for so no one would get hurt, basically.
They're noble hackers.
Yeah, and it's basically like it seemed like they went by some basic rules of how to do an attack like this in a safe way.
I see.
And so it was like that seemed either these are just ethical hackers, which also could be true.
Well, it sounds like that's what they're claiming that they are, because with Novitex, they're hacking Novitex because the crypto exchange itself is funding these terrorist organizations through these private wallets.
Yes, exactly. So Predatory Sparrow's exact origins remain unclear. We don't know if they're specifically in Israel backed, but they seem to be pro-Israel.
Right.
And it has a history of targeting Iranian infrastructure, widely believed to operate in alignment with Israeli interests. So the Iranian state media has described the incidents as part of a larger cyber war led by Israel. So this is not only nukes and missiles and fighting and drones. This is also a cyber war.
Yeah, and so for more on that story, I spoke with Brian Rothenberg.
Great to be here, Jackson. Thanks for having me back on. My name is Brian Rothenberg. I'm a general partner at Defy VC. We're an early stage venture fund, about 700 million AUM in our third fund.
All right, and so I asked Brian, a pro-Israel hacking group, Predatory Sparrow, just wiped $90 million from Iran's largest crypto exchange. Are we entering a new era where crypto platforms are treated as legitimate military targets?
Yeah, it's interesting. Crypto hacks have been a longstanding issue. Just over the last 3 years, more than $9 billion in funds have been stolen from both individuals and institutions like this most recent crypto exchange, where it started out as money-motivated actors seeking to steal funds to then launder and use themselves. It's evolved in recent years. Now, the Lazarus Group, based in North Korea, has hacked billions of dollars. They're using that to fund a lot of state-sponsored activities in North Korea. And with this most recent attack on the Iranian-owned crypto exchange, I think we're seeing a new era of cyber warfare around specifically entities, organizations that hold money, whether they be on traditional financial rails or crypto rails in this case.
So we've got Predatory Sparrow, that's basically, they've not offered any evidence for their accusation that Nobotex is linked to terror financing, as they call it.
I see.
But here's some insight into why they might be claiming that.
Okay.
First of all, Iran's use of cryptocurrency. So Iran has been reported to use crypto to bypass U.S. and international sanctions instead of just cash, right? And certain exchanges operating within the country may be seen as tools facilitating those transactions. Another reason is that the Nobotex is the largest crypto platform in Iran, and some believe it may be intertwined formally or informally with the Iranian state interests, entities under sanction.
Okay.
And then, of course, the final one, Predatory Sparrow's pattern is that they have always been targeting entities it views as supporting the Iranian regime's military or financial operations. So those are some basic reasons why it seems like maybe their claim of terror financing is true.
There's no definitive proof that this was
Not so
Predatory
far.
Sparrow on this attack. So
No, there is definitive proof. Maybe not definitive, but Predatory Sparrow has claimed we did this.
we did this. I'm seeing.
But they said we did this because Nobotex has been doing terror financing.
Okay.
There's no evidence of that actual accusation being true so far.
Okay, I see. And so with my next question to Brian, I ask, with Predatory Sparrow linking Nobotex to terror financing, how blurred is the line now between financial infrastructure and geopolitical warfare?
I think the two are intertwined. You've seen the Treasury Department of the United States go after Iran and their more traditional banking rails, making sure they're sanctioned, et cetera. And obviously, crypto is just another form of money movement in a way. And so the evolution to, cyber attacks on more traditional financial infrastructure to now crypto infrastructure, I think it's just a natural evolution and highlights the need for security in the space more than ever before.
Yeah. And then I kind of go into my next question with Brian immediately after that, asking, this isn't just a cybercrime. It's economic sabotage with ideological intent. Does this set a precedent for more nation-aligned hacking groups going after financial systems globally?
I think it's happening every day. States are going after different critical infrastructure of adversary countries. I think in this case, if you just look at OFAC, they have identified sanctioned actors that have interacted with this crypto exchange. And so it's not crazy to me to think that an Israel-backed group that did hack this Iranian exchange, it was motivated by making sure those bad actors that have been identified by both the U.S. and Israel don't have access to those funds.
Yeah, so the state of cyber vulnerabilities today is just like scary.
There's a new story every day.
There's literally a new one. So yesterday we got Forbes reporting that 16 billion Apple, Facebook, Google, and other passwords were leaked. Easily the largest data breach literally in history.
Yeah.
That was yesterday.
Crazy.
And then a week ago, we got a bombshell report claiming that voting machines were tampered with in the 2024 election and that Kamala Harris had actually won.
Yeah.
So there's like massive stories going around right now about.
We had with Andrew Budd a couple weeks ago. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah, the iProve found that there was an organization. Man, what were they called? It had a cool name. Gray Nickel. Gray Nickel was infiltrating financial organizations and taking money. Crypto exchanges, exactly. So this is just everywhere right now.
And then the UNFI data leak, or the hack recently as well. So this is, it's very, very consistent.
Is anyone safe?
Maybe not. And so I asked Brian my last question. Nobotex had 10 million users and still got breached. Is there any such thing as secure enough in the current geopolitical climate?
Security is a critical issue, and especially with the adoption of crypto technology, which is a little bit different in that permanence and immutability is a feature, not a bug. So, of course, if an exchange is hacked, if money is siphoned off, it's almost impossible to recover in most cases. So we actually have seen this as a trend. We backed a company at the earliest stage called Almanacs.ai that uses AI to monitor both smart contracts and traditional Web 2 code and help secure this space, especially given you're seeing a convergence of more traditional finance, actually integrating and embracing crypto rails. And we think now is a critically important time to harden that infrastructure because we do see these waves of attacks not only persisting, but increasing over time.
And thank you to Brian Rothenberg for being on the show today.
All right, let's talk our funding highlight. A new startup called PrismaX or Prismax just launched, and they've already raised $11 million from A16Z and others to reinvent how robots see and learn.
It's founded by Bailey Wang and China Shi. Their goal, build a foundation for physical AI with robots that can actually operate in the real world. And so they're solving this really, really huge problem in robotics, which is data. The most data sets are either too expensive or too narrow. And so Prismax or PrismaX is building a decentralized platform where people can teleoperate robots, collect data, and also get paid for it. It's kind of like crowdsourcing robotic vision in a way.
So I want to show you guys the fleet. Meet our fleet. So we've got Tommy here. I'm gonna full screen this. Tommy is a Ubtech. I'm not sure exactly. Ubtech Walker, a full-size humanoid with a full range of motion and sensors, as well as powerful compute for advanced AI. Bill can do everything.
I like Tommy.
I don't know why it says Bill. They say his name is Tommy, but then now they're saying Bill. Bill can do everything from make drinks to do backflips in the right hands and is ready to help you out. I think that they mean that for their next guy, Billy here. Yeah.
Whoa.
So here's Billy, a Unitree G1. He's doing a kick here, like a karate kick.
Yep.
Easy to take places. Frank. I think their website's a little messed up.
They're working on it, but let's just look at them. Billy's
looking cool.
Kicking somebody. He's learning karate.
Yes. Okay.
Let's
next is
Sparky.
Sparky, a little dog robot, of course.
Absolutely.
MIT Mini Cheetah, a highly dynamic quadruped robot. Okay. Check this guy out. Frankie.
Oh, I don't like Frankie.
Frankie, I feel like the vibes here. Okay, there's Frankie.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing with Frankie is they're saying like robots are scary. Feel like they're going to take over the world.
Yeah,
let's make him look really dumb.
Let's put a tank top on him. Yeah. From H&M. Yeah. So this is, I mean, because they also want to have robots like fold laundry, make fast food orders, and help in hospitals. So maybe
great.
Frankie's the guy to do that.
Yeah, to take all the jobs.
Yeah.
All right. And then we've got
Hey, Jill.
We've got Jill, who's a furry robot.
Is that what it says on the website?
No, it says Jill is a unique self-balancing robot from Enchanted Tools. Her quiet, likable locomotion and emotional expressiveness make her ideal for human robotics interaction, research, social settings, and entertainment. All right.
She's cute.
So, what? You said the furry's cute?
Well, no. I mean, they're all cute.
Oh, all the robots are cute. All right.
Jill's really cute.
That's Prisma X.
Congratulations
Congrats
on the funding.
On the funding.
Good luck.
Good job.
Keep making robots.
Okay. Last story today. This is crazy.
Yep.
Check this out,
Show
Jackson.
us.
We need to watch this video.
Yeah, probably. I mean, even the other day when they... Whoa!
Whoa!
If you're listening,
What? That's not good.
No!
SpaceX. Oh, that's the explosion.
That is the SpaceX Starship. Not Starship. Flight
Falcon?
36.
Yeah.
My God.
Just blew up.
It appears there has been a
Ship
row.
36 just blew up.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Ship 36 just blew up. On Wednesday, June 18th, last night, approximately 11 p.m. Central Time, the Starship, preparing for the 10th test flight, experienced a major anomaly while on a test stand at Starbase in Texas. So a safety clear area around the site was maintained throughout the operation, and all personnel are safe and accounted for. So that is great news.
Yeah, those are the words from SpaceX, one of their X posts.
Right.
Our Starbase team is actively working to safe the test site and the immediate surrounding area in conjunction with local officials. There are no hazards to residents and surrounding communities, and we ask that individuals do not attempt to approach the area while safing operations continue.
So another RUD, rapid unexpected, or what's the U?
I don't know. Demolition? What's
No,
the D?
detachment or something like that.
No, I don't know.
RUD. Bad news for SpaceX. It's unfortunate, but as they say,
Failure is a learning opportunity.
failure is a learning opportunity.
Someone said
and
that
they
last
love
night.
it. They love it when
Oh,
they're
we should have posted the picture of Roman, like looking at his phone from Succession.
yes, Roman Roy. This is definitely a Roman Roy moment. All right, that's it for Venture Daily. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope we helped you get a little bit smarter today.
And thank you to Content Stack for letting us film here in Austin, Texas every single day. If you like today's show, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or X, throw us a like, a comment, and a review. Throw us a 5-star rating if you think we earned it. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow morning on Venture Daily.